Human rights violations, including the assassination of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. So let's welcome back our Rush Hour Roundtable for the topic. Our big question panel: do U.S. athletes have an obligation to put patriotism and morals over profits and stand up to human rights abuses? Megan, we'll start with you.
You know, I absolutely feel like they do. This is one of those things. I'm a conservative, I'm a free market person, but I look at this and I go, we're talking about some very serious abuses here in Saudi Arabia. And we understand that part of what Saudi Arabia is doing here is trying to present themselves as just another nation. They are trying to make some moves here to push under the rug what happened with Jamal Khashoggi. They are trying to get the world to see them in a different way. And as we look at Russia, we know how really dangerous that can be to sort of welcome people back into the fold. And particularly when we look at this situation, you go, this is a bit of leverage that we have. And it's really disappointing to me to see some golfers choose their pocketbooks over their patriotism.
Yeah, no athlete should do this, but they don't have any obligation not to. I think this is down to the individual's, moral guidance. I, of course, would not do this. I do think that people who automatically say, oh, I would turn down a $100 million deal for something, I think people who automatically throw that out are being a little bit disingenuous, because it would at least give us a little bit of a pause. They should clearly side with patriotism. At the end of the day, I'm not going to pretend that what's going on between LIV and the PGA Tour has anything to do with the morals here. I think very clearly it has to do with the new competition, which is why the PGA is getting a little bit ticked off. I mean, I love that we're having this conversation. I wish we would have a bigger conversation about this in this country, particularly with the NBA and China, which a lot of folks who are outraged right now with Saudi Arabia has been pretty quiet about what's going on with China. And I think we know that is due entirely to the money. Well, yeah, and Jason, speaking of that, the NBA's ties to China, we have the NFL's ties to China, we have NBA's ties to Rwanda, so it certainly is not something new.
Should give money to Reporters Without Borders. How about that? Because Phil Mickelson kicked a reporter out of his news conference, so it looks like he's kind of doing just what the Saudis do. And if you're the family of Jamal Khashoggi and you see this guy smiling and putting his thumbs up to the kind of play that he's doing, well, he should know, and I hope he's read the case, that Jamal Khashoggi was kidnapped, thrown in the back of a car, taken to an interrogation, for several days at least interrogated, murdered, and then his body was cut up into little bits. That is what happened, and it was at the behest of the Saudi regime. So let's just be real clear about the people who are running this shiny little, this golf league. And if you're going to be a part of that, of course you've got the right to do it, but then you also, as Megan said, you have the right to be shunned by people like me on shows like this, and you have the right to be shunned by the Khashoggi family, as he should be.
Capri, before you answer, I want to, because Ashley just referenced the fact that Mickelson kicked out a reporter from a press conference. So we do have some sound from a reporter grilling golfers about where they would be willing to play, and if there was anywhere in the world that they would not play. Let's listen to that.
If Vladimir Putin had a tournament, would you play there?
That's speculation. Not even going to comment on speculation.
So just in a generality, is there anywhere you wouldn't play on a moral basis? If the money was right, is there anywhere you wouldn't play?
I don't need to answer that question.
All right, and that's really just a snippet from there, because that reporter definitely kept grilling those golfers. All right, Capri, we want to hear what you have to say.
Number one, that reporter had every right to ask those questions, and they are the right questions to ask. And the fact that he's sitting there saying, well, it's speculation. I just don't know. I'm not going to answer this question. If that's the case, then guess what? The answer is yes. You clearly are putting your dollar above, any kind of moral integrity, values surrounding human rights violations. I mean, we all know what Vladimir Putin is capable of. You don't really need to speculate on whether or not he decides he's going to host a sporting event if you're going to participate in it. There's something about soft diplomacy, right? And that's where, sports has always played this role of soft diplomacy. And when Americans or anyone is participating, we see this obviously in the Olympics, but we see it in other places. And now we're seeing it unfold here. It sends a message, and it sends a message that people pay attention to, because the American public and the global public, for that matter, they pay attention to celebrity. Do I feel like I wish we would spend less time talking about celebrity? Yes. But the bottom line is we're obviously all talking about it. People are paying attention. They have an opportunity to say, no, I'm not going to do this because of human rights violations. There is something more valuable than the almighty dollar. But, they're not. And,
It's called
they need to be held.
And it works. You know what? It's called sports washing, and it works. Because guess what? Today there's reporting that the U.S. administration is actually thinking of putting the Khashoggi murder behind them in order to repair relationships with the Saudis. So amazing that it all happens at the same time. But, I mean, sports washing is a real thing, and this is a really good example of it.
I think
can I just say
there's a practical... Well, I was just going to say there is a practical consideration here as someone who covers a lot of Hollywood that I go, there's a long-term potential damaging to reputation, damaging to brand. And I wonder if these golfers are thinking about that, because certainly we've seen that with Disney. We watched this weekend. Top Gun did really well in part because Paramount made the decision to back off appeasing China. And so I wonder if they think about the long-term damage to their brands that they could be doing with making these decisions. And I feel like,
with 200 million,
does it matter if they're sitting on, hundreds of millions of dollars, though, Megan?
I wonder if the American people on... Yeah, but I wonder if the American people on this particular issue in Saudi Arabia are really as connected to the issue as they are on China or Russia. I think those are a little bit easier for the American people to really connect to. I don't know if Saudi Arabia actually elicits that kind of response from the average person. So I do think it's on folks like us to actually shine a spotlight on it and make that case.
Well, and as Ashley said, though, it's a little hard to argue that the golfers are in the wrong when the White House is making a similar decision.
And let me just say, they are making the wrong decision here. I couldn't agree more. And I think, look, we know, for example, that Alberta, the province of Alberta in Canada, has made it very clear they're open for business. They're ready to supply the United States with oil. We need to be working with our allies. We need to be opening up our own energy reserves before we start, going with hat in hand to Saudi Arabia. I know times are incredibly tough, and it's $5 a gallon gas, but guess what? There are other alternatives besides Saudi Arabia. We need to, and our White House and our government need to make that stand if we expect the PGA to do it.
Federal leasing.
Thank you, panel. Thank you, panel. All right, don't go away. We do still have one more topic to talk about. It's our Friday fun topic, one we've been dying to get to. Should couples getting married be obligated to feed their wedding guests? One couple didn't think so. Instead, they spent their catering budget on a special appearance from Mickey and Minnie. Welcome back. We are giving you a live look at Disneyland in California, Space Mountain there, courtesy of EarthCam. Now, lots of people love Disney, the nostalgia, the stories, the theme parks, but some people really love it. And some people who really love Disney also dream of having a Disney fairy tale wedding, right? One of those weddings is stirring up a lot of discussion on social media. There's no way to be sure the post is tied to a real event, but a bride did take to Reddit after she saw one of her wedding guests complaining about her wedding not serving food. The bride asked Reddit users if she was in the wrong. Here's part of her post. Quote, "The issue was with our decision to not offer catering services or bar services at our wedding due to routing that money toward having a wedding Minnie and Mickey make appearances at our special day." Now, the bride says they actually used the money from her parents for food and catering to pay for that Mickey and Minnie appearance. But did the guests know the food wouldn't be provided? The bride said, quote, "We clearly outlined in the invitations that there was food available at the venue. We didn't exactly spell out every restaurant's menu, but it was certainly mentioned. There were also vending machines available throughout." End quote. So, Roundtable, what do you think? Was it wrong for this couple not to provide food for their guests? Capri, let's send it to you first.
Well, I think you guys are aware that I'm the resident Disney freak. Maybe there's more than one on this panel, but I can definitely vouch for the fact that I'm the resident Disney freak. Look, it's this couple's, it's their day. They wanted to prioritize Mickey and Minnie, although frankly I would have chosen Donald and Daisy. But if that's what they want to do, now there's my sister and I at Disney with Chip and Dale, our two favorites, the Chipmunks. So we're a little Disney crazy. But, there is some rudeness, I think, to this as well, in the sense of, they said, oh, there's going to be food, but they didn't exactly spell out.
There were vending machines, Capri.
How and where. I love a good Cheez-It cracker, getting orange all over my face at a wedding like the next guy. But, maybe they could have handled it a little bit differently as far as conveying really whether or not there was going to be food, but ultimately it's their choice and their decision. And if you think that you're going to show up to some amazing buffet or spread, you know what? If that was more important than celebrating that couple, I guess don't show up. Let them have their day with Mickey and Minnie.
I think two things here. One, if your defense is there are vending machines, you maybe want to rethink what you're doing with this wedding. And certainly it's not wrong. It's their day. If they want to do that, that's their decision. But you should certainly know that your
Oh, darn it.
I don't think the bride said, right. Yeah. So anyway, your friends are going to talk about you if you don't have food and instead have an hour of Mickey and Minnie.
Your friends are going to revolt because your friends paid about $500 per person to fly there and another $500 per person to stay in a hotel and probably got you a $250 gift. And they didn't even get a drink? Are you kidding me? And then the other thing is, what exactly is Disney doing charging $2,500 per half hour for two little characters to show up? And they did 2 half-hour sessions. So by my math, that means each of those actors would be getting $2,500 an hour? I don't think so. So that is, to me, a total cash grab from Disney. They should be ashamed of themselves for that. They're not paying the actors $2,500 an hour. That is just a pure, greedy piece of business. And shame on both Disney and that family.
We don't even know that it was a Disney-sanctioned event.
They charge it because
people who just dress up as Mickey and Minnie for all we know.
It was $5,000. No. They paid $5,000 to have two characters come for 2 different half-hour visits. And I'm thinking, you've got to be kidding me. That's really what you were going to spend your money on, while all those guests spent all their money to come there for you, and you didn't give them a drink or food?
But isn't it about celebrating their day, Ashley?
Yeah.
Celebrate.
Yeah,
I
I'm
need
sorry,
a drink.
but did anyone reasonably think that this couple are insufferably annoying Disney fans based on everything that we know about them and their ultimate decision? It kind of feels like we probably should have realized that they would do something like this. And again, look, people should not be complaining about the cost to go to the wedding if they made that choice. I hear you. I find destination weddings to be rather selfish. But if you are that close with the couple you're willing to spend that kind of money because you care deeply about them. That aside,
But they should buy you a
should they have been
beer.
more clear? Yes, of course. They should have been. But look, Disney people, present company excluded, are incredibly insufferable. And I guess I kind of expected this.
All right. So craziest things maybe at the panel's weddings. Is this, are we going to get too personal here? Maybe, I don't know. But anybody want to volunteer anything?
Ooh, crazy.
Or was it
I
all
did a
pretty
public
traditional?
wedding,
I'm
and
never
it was
going to be
cheap.
loved,
No one
so
paid
I
for
will
a
be
thing.
single forever.
Jason, not true. Ashley,
We
would you
set
say
our
that?
hotel room on fire.
I was at a ski chalet.
I want to know that story.
And we all had our ski stuff on, and at exactly 5 o'clock, off came the ski stuff, and we just had a wedding right there. Didn't have to pay for anything. Didn't have to do invitations, or it was the best thing ever.
Did everybody know that this
recommend
was
for anybody
happening,
out there.
Ashley?
Wait, I want to hear the story.
Nobody knew.
I want to hear the story about setting the hotel
Me
room on
too.
fire.
Yeah, I want to get to Megan. Megan, you had set the hotel room on fire.
Yeah, so our friends had gone in to decorate the honeymoon suite, and men don't know that you need to put those little votive candles in something, and they just set them right on top of the dresser, and there was something flammable that it had been cleaned with, and poof, just went right up in flames. So yeah, the hotel was very nice about it. Moved us to another room, but literally set the honeymoon suite on fire.
So did any of the wedding budget have to be rerouted to cleaning fees?
No, they didn't even charge us. It was a lovely hotel. They were very nice about it.
All right. Well,
You got lucky.
Definitely. Panel, thank you so much today for joining us. Had a little fun on this Friday talking about our Disney wedding and Mickey and Minnie. I wish we had a Mickey and Minnie to bring on set. Unfortunately, we do not. That is all, though, for
Couldn't afford
NewsNation.
it.
Too expensive.
It is very expensive, exactly. Maybe we can all pitch in $1,000 each. So that is all for NewsNation Rush Hour tonight. We thank you so much for watching today and all of this week. On Balance with Leland Vittert is right after the break.